Hello, I'm Dr. Levon Hairapetian, a business professor at Houston Baptist University. In this short video, I will demonstrate how we can use analytic solver software to do hierarchical clustering. Actually, we already did once in one of my previous video demonstrations. We did hierarchical clustering for a simple example. Now we'll do with one more example. The file which I have on my screen, this is called DemoKTC file. The template file is posted on the Blackboard, and you can also download and later try your best. Let's do it. First, I will click anywhere inside of my dataset and then go to data mining, then cluster, and select hierarchical clustering. So, originally, if you do this first time, this is what you will see. Some were in here because I already played with this before recording. So what you will see here is, here we have all variables in our dataset. So variables are age, female, income, married, children, loan, mortgage, and these are all listed in here. As I mentioned before, the first thing which you have to check and make sure is that your data set is correct from A1 till G31, and yes, it's correct. Now what we have to do is we have to select which variables are we going to use for clustering, and let's use those variables with 0 and 1 values, which are categorical variables. So it will be female, then married, let's skip children, loan, and mortgage. The reason I selected these variables because I'm following the instruction which is given in Appendix 4.1. That file is also posted on Blackboard. It's a PDF file. So all steps which I am doing now are described in that PDF file. So I selected all those variables which will be used in my clustering analysis. Down here, we have to select data type, and in our case, it's raw data. And we are done with this first step of clustering. Then we'll click Next. Here, we have to specify whether we need to normalize or not. Obviously, we don't need any normalization here because my variables are just zeros, and values are zeros and ones. So no normalization is needed. Let me remind you, we normalize data when the value scopes are very different. For example, we have age and we have salaries. That will be very different ranges. So in that case, we have to normalize so the large scales will not dominate the small scales. That's not the case in here. So we'll leave this unchecked. Since we have zeros and ones, we learned already that when there are zeros and ones, Euclidean distance is not the best one. It's better to use either matching coefficient or Jacquard coefficient. We will use matching coefficient. Then down here, we have to select which clustering method will be used, and we learn several of them. In this example, we will use a group average linkage. It's already selected. And we'll go next. We leave this box checked. If it's unchecked, well, then we'll check to make sure that dendrogram will be drawn, and we specify maximum level is 10, and excuse me, let's specify number of clusters, 3, and we are done. We'll just click Finish and wait, and almost in no time, software did the cluster analysis. It created for us 3 tabs. Let's start with dendrogram. As you remember, if you don't see the dendrogram here and you don't see it, then we have to go to data mining and click model and wait a little bit. Dendrogram will show up. And this is the dendrogram. And so you can see at the level of this dendrogram, since we selected the maximum of 6, that's why we don't have a large dendrogram here on large. See, when, like here, when it says 3, actually this line, this cluster represents 3, it's a group 3 and 9. Like cluster 1, wherever you see 1, just this single line is actually represents the group of all these observations. 2, which is this one, this line represents observations 2, 8, 10, 20, and 26. And so this is the dendrogram. Let me close it. Now I will switch to this output, and in one of my previous videos and demonstrated, I told you how to interpret clustering stages in many details, and I already created the solution of this file, and I repeated that process. I specified the meaning of all these steps, and I will encourage you to go and check the solution and pay attention to those highlighted yellow callouts, which you will see in solution related to clustering stages. Let me just remind you a few of them. What means this first stage means the cluster 4 and 5 were merged and distance was 0. The new cluster, which contains 4 and 5, is named as new 4. That next step, that new 4 was merged with 6, and the distance is still 0, and so. So this concludes my short video. Have a nice day.